Hello and welcome to a new episode of the CTO show with Mehmet. My name is Mehmet, and as you know, in each episode, I'm exploring the latest trends, insights, and strategies in topics like digital transformation, cybersecurity, emerging tech, startups, and entrepreneurships. And today, I am joined by an amazing guest, Ankit Jain, Managing Director, Head of Corporate and Investment Banking Domain in SoftServe, who's joining me from the UK this morning, who will share insights on some interesting topic related to how financial services firms can excel in highly competitive and regulated environment and leveraging the power of digital transformation. So first of all, thank you for joining me on the show today. Ankit, if you can just tell me a little bit more about yourself, your background, and your current company, SoftServe.
Sure, Mehmet. Thank you. Thanks for having me in. It's an honor, and I'm really excited to talk to you today, Mehmet. Um, so I worked at an intersection of banking, technology, and business. So I've got around more than 20 years of experience working for large multinational banks and fintechs. In my current role, I'm leading corporate investment banking solutions group within an advisory and software development firm known as SoftServe. So we are a firm of like 14,000 people globally and growing. So it's a team of advisors, engineers, and designers solving business challenges with innovative technology solutions. We work with enterprises to identify or re-identify their differentiation, accelerate solution development, and accelerate their digital transformation.
That's great. Thank you very much. So, the first question I want to ask you today, Ankit, is it's all about the digital world and transformation. So, from your experience, how banks will win in the future? I mean, how the digital transformation and digital technology will be impacting banking and financial service industry in general.
So banks that will win in future, in my view, will be those that can make better, faster decisions than others, reducing risk while lending more, predicting what their clients will need in advance, and increasing cross-selling and upselling. So what that means and how digitization and technology transformation will help, it will massively by leveraging digital to provide better customer experiences, reduce cost, and ultimately deepen relationship with customers. So important point here is that digital transformation does not mean digitization of broken processes, but digitization of whole customer experience. Otherwise, what my other people also say is like it will be just a digital lipstick on an analog pig if we are just focusing on the broken process. We need to look at holistically, coherently, front to back across the customer journey. And historically, banks used to look at their technology provider or their in-house IT and ask what their technology capabilities are. Based on that, banks used to define their technology strategy. And based on the technology strategy, they used to define their business product strategy, i.e., like how they are going to price their products and services, how the product can be configured, and then overall bank strategy based on product strategy. So we wonder where is customer in all of this, right? Who banks need to serve? Nowhere, unfortunately, the way historically things are done. So digital transformation changes all of that, and digitization means keeping customers, their needs, their journey throughout banks' products and services in front and center of everything.
That's very informative, Ankit, really. And one thing, if you allow me to highlight, and it's not only for banking, you touch on something very important is like you cannot transform digitally, if I can say that, what is broken in the analog world. So first you need to fix the processes and then digitize this. So really it's very insightful also to hear that from you. Now, shifting gears a little bit, and word fintech is very, I would say, kind of a hype mode, buzzword, whatever you want to call it. How you see banks can play in the league with the fintech?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I would take a step back on it. I will say first and foremost, banks need to go back to basics and reassess their business strategy. And as everyone know, in this dynamic economic and geopolitical environment, so strategy is unique, right? As we know, it's a
Yeah.
unique value proposition which creates sustainable competitive advantage. If everyone is doing it, this is not unique. If everyone can do it, this is not sustainable. And technology by itself is not a strategy. So now, if you can think from kind of how banks can become more efficient and play in the league with fintechs, what do they need to do? There are not many kind of points. There are three, right? Firstly, creating a business-led technology transformation roadmap. Then integration of technology teams in business and controls processes. So as an example, moving to agile, right? Through this modern DevOps and modern SecOps teams consisting of business technology. An important point is control functions from the word go. So business technology control functions, which can be risk, AFC, compliance, etc. These teams should work towards common goals of realizing business benefits, which are either or combination of positive impact on top line, bottom line, and or risk reduction, which is very, very important for the banks, obviously in this economic environment. And then lastly, data strategy and management implementation should be at an enterprise level, not in the siloed kind of divisional level, but at thinking strategically, and implementation should be at the group level.
That's great. So, in other words, if they do the 3 points you mentioned, so banks can claim that they are also in the fintech. But you mentioned, a word which is immediately, like it clicked something for me. You mentioned data, and when we say data today, we don't mean necessarily, like just generation of data, but it's about something more deep than this. And I know for a fact that this should be something important, right? So, what is the importance of data for banking business?
No, absolutely. And data is a kind of like impacting everyone, and people are doing something about it, but not kind of holistically across the industry. And it's like a conversation starter, right? In England, we start the conversation with weather. If you want to start the conversation on the business, data is the topic which most of the people talk, and it sticks as well. So if you think from the importance perspective, for me, it's a new currency of business. And if you look at, like, according to a kind of recent PwC report, businesses with a comprehensive data strategy will experience a growth rate of 20% more than those without one. And if you think from market perspective, it's trending towards delivering value from data, while important point is fulfilling regulatory requirements, measuring the correctness and the usefulness via the value generated. And banks, by the way, are increasing investing in data initiatives, but many of those efforts are siloed and fragmented. And it's the business issue that requires an enterprise-wide approach to be successful. Previously, like big bang implementation has not worked, in my view. The use case approach has proven more sustainable and impactful. Bank's current state landscape is complex, with thousands of data exchanges and many compensating controls, leading to what we call is lack of transparency, resulting in increased cost and risk. And most of the data challenges faced in banks relate to pipelines around the data, not the data set themselves. So hence, it's critical for banks to use key data principles to drive towards the target state that is aligned, which is important, with the business objectives and the strategic objectives of the organization. Ultimately, the goal is to establish a target state architecture that improves and streamlines data and applications, create strategic services and share data assets, and unlock the power of data-driven innovation across the bank. So where technology fits all of it, it's from technology perspective, and to improve data outcomes, banks need to invest in intelligent automation tools and
Mhm.
artificial intelligence technology to ensure they can drive competitive advantage through data-driven insights that enable faster response time, better decision making, and higher customer satisfaction level. The point that we discussed, like briefly, what are the kind of main business outcomes, what banks want to drive towards, which is basically higher customer satisfaction level and better and faster decision making, and data enables to do that.
That's insightful again, Ankit. Now, because you mentioned that data is on top of mind of every business discussion. So from your observation, that I'm sure you read a lot of annual reports for these banks, what other like overall trends you are noticing in the financial service industry?
Yep. So first and foremost, obviously, we've been talking about it a lot, which is digitization of banking. Is leveraging digital to provide better experiences, reduce costs, and deepen relationship with customers. This will continue to intensify. Secondly, and this is no in no particular order. These are like very important topics which are impacting the industry. So secondly is sustainability. That demand is intensifying as we speak. ESG investing is a part of structural market shift. Its importance will continue to grow with firms increasingly aiming to optimize both business and societal benefits. And ESG has evolved more than much just like ethical investment criteria. Market attitudes are increasingly positively. Firms are proactively looking to reallocate resources. Investors increasingly decide based on ESG principles, and regulators are also introducing new policies to increase transparency and enhanced reporting. Thirdly, customer expectations are changing, right? In this digital world, customers increasingly expect simple, quick, and personalized products at a competitive prices. And the important thing is like what we call Generation Z. The demand will drive FS transformation, overall financial services transformation. They became the largest generation. If you think from like 2019, 2020, they are constituting around 32% of the global population, which we as an industry cannot ignore. Another and but related trend is hyper personalization of customer propositions. So leading firms increasingly harness data and data science, which we've been talking about, to deliver personalized, context specific products, servicing and pricing to address clients' manifest and latent needs. Then from digital assets perspective, they are becoming mainstream. So they are already growing in as an asset class, attracting like material institutional interest, and could drive profound change and even transformation on financial services, medium to long term. And lastly, and but not the least, and it's an important kind of perspective. Regulatory complexity will continue to increase. Right? The regulatory banking landscape is changing, will become more complex, in obviously in light of what's happening macroeconomic perspective, um, in response of like sustainability transition, in response of disruptive technology, in response of like global fragmentation, and all those macroeconomic headwinds such as very high inflation rate.
Yeah, like sometimes I don't want to put myself in the shoes of the technology leaders in a bank. I mean, I know they do great jobs over there, and there's a lot of challenges. Um, One of the challenges, like everyone talks about is, especially when I talk about FSIs, it's financial crime, right? So whether it's cyber attacks, whether it's frauds, So because you have the experience, Ankit, what is your view on financial crime and how banks do you think are currently dealing with them? Are they doing the right thing? Do they have still to improve a few things? What's your take on that?
Sure. Look, it has become a critical issue in recent years worldwide, causing significant harm to the industry, economy, and overall society. So banks are taking it seriously. There is a huge correlation between what happens in wider economy and what happens in financial crime. So when the economy goes down, certain types of financial crimes, for example, fraud, market abuse, cyber crime, etc., goes up. And as banks chains become more hyper connected and criminals also becoming very sophisticated, the potential impacts of financial crimes are growing. And again, banks are investing, but not enough. In my view, there are not enough specialists and systems to counter this threat, which is evolving on the day-to-day basis. And also the macroeconomic headwinds is also um, increasing all those potential threats which banks and the society is facing. Uh, so in a nutshell, there is an urgent need to improve risk profiling, compliance culture, and the use of AI tools. Um, and also the mindset change in my view, like still many banks consider financial crime as a second line function rather than as an important subject which is relevant for all lines of defenses from front to back office in a bank. So it's everyone's responsibility. um, and also if you think from financial crime remediation program, it requires substantial investment not only on controls but also on technology, systems, and people, right? If you think from any program perspective, three things you have in financial crime is people, process, and technology. And these are the three things you need to assess whether they are working as effectively and joined up as possible across the organization, because these things in reality are interconnected. If any of these three things are ineffective, others too are going to suffer. Overall, I think technology plays a major role in financial crime remediation program across the industry, whether is know your customer, enhanced due diligence, or in digital identification verification technology solutions, or by automating risk processing, leveraging RPA, robotic process automation tools.
Yeah, that's great insight again, Ankit. And now, if you allow me just to add a few things here, like you touch on something very critical, which is keeping investing in the technology. And I always say it's the cybersecurity is, as it's not my word, but again they mentioned a lot. It's not a sprint; it's a marathon, right? So it's you need to keep investing in technology. One thing also, I hope that whoever will listen to this episode from the financial sector, like the counterpart, I mean, the bad guys, they became so sophisticated themselves because they are leveraging technology. There was an article, I think 2 weeks back, where these guys, they were able to generate the voice. I mean, they were trying. So they generated their own voices. They called the bank and they managed to get their account transferred to somewhere else. So I think, you know, leaders, technology leaders, and everyone in the C-suite board, I would say, they should take this more serious because it's causing damage to the economy. And again, the things that you mentioned, Ankit, about the macroeconomics part of it. So it's enough for us. We don't need more loss over there. So really, I appreciated, the insight that you gave from your side. So it's been a great discussion with you, Ankit. Anything you want to also like share before we come to an end?
No, look, absolutely what you said, Mehmet, right? Um, we need to keep our focus on financial crime, on overall customer journey optimization, making sure we have our eyes on business objectives, controls, etc. But we work very closely what technology can deliver, and working on the kind of latest trends, and from the technology perspective, how it can enable overall business transformation across the banks. No, all good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ankit. Really, I enjoyed this discussion. So, just if you can tell our listeners how they can contact you if they have further queries.
No, sure. Happy to. So, you can have my LinkedIn link and my email in the show notes in case
Sure.
anyone wants to contact me for any further queries.
That's great. Again, thank you very much, Ankit, for your time this morning. Thank you for everyone who tuned in today. Don't forget, if you have any questions, if you have any feedback about this episode or the show in general, you can reach out to me directly by email, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And again, if you have a suggestion, if you want to have a discussion or even join me on this show, I would be more than happy to discuss this. So thank you very much for tuning in, and until next time. Bye bye.